What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. We got another laundry built-in project. Solid Doug fir. And I must say, this was probably the easiest guy I had to work for ever of all time. This guy takes first place. So he had a plastic laundry tub. He bought this place. It's brand new. The house is brand new. And from the day he bought the place, it leaked because they cross-threaded the little drain piece at the bottom of the sink, which is part of the sink. It's not like a separate piece. So there was no fixing it. So the way his house is set up, he doesn't really have basement storage. All he has is like a little furnace room. So the criteria was Doug fir, because the whole place is Doug fir. Doors are Doug fir. Everything is Doug fir. Okay, Doug fir, storage space, sink. Got it. That's pretty much what I had to work off. And I'm like, really? Like, do you want inset doors, or do you want these kinds of handles? You know, a Kohler faucet, stainless steel sink. He's like, yeah, sounds good. Just call me when you're done. Okay. So he pretty much just let me pick whatever I wanted. But I didn't do what most contractors do, is, bid for the best of the best, and then once you get the job, just buy, like Glacier Bay crap faucets, whatever, and save money. I went with everything, like top of the line, Kohler, LK sinks. I spared no expense on the materials. I wanted to do a nice job. And I get more jobs out of it, because word of mouth is a powerful tool. So, let's go make this thing. Alright, so we have the cabinet carcasses made. I got a coat of poly on this one this week, which I'm going to just give this a light sand, and that might be it. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. I'm trying to match what's in the house, which looks very dull. It's not shiny at all. So I'm gonna start with face frames and the doors. So I have a bunch of Doug fir 3/4, and I've got some 1/8 for the countertop. With the 3/4, I wanted to rip these down into like 2 1/4, but before I did that, I wanted to make sure that I had enough to do the panels for the doors. So that's what I'm actually starting with. Like these panels for the inside of the door. So I went and grabbed what I needed, cut it all to length, and I want to get these glued up. So this stuff comes with a rounded edge on it. So I used the table saw and ripped that rounded edge off, and now I'm using the jointer to get everything perfectly flat, perfectly square, and then these will be ready for glue up. So that's what we're going to do right now. And there we have our face frames ready to go on the cabinets. So I like to do this with the cabinet on its back. And the problem with these pocket hole screws is sometimes it will split just the very edge. So sometimes you'll have to jam some glue in there and clamp it down tight and let it dry. But this one did not split. So I'm gonna start on this one. So I'll put a bead of glue, and I mean, I really have two options here. This is being stained or just polyed. It's not being painted, so I have to be careful with my fasteners, and I was considering, you know, maybe doing some pocket holes, you know, where they're not going to be seen. But it's a little bit, I have to take this plate off, toe kick off, and I don't really like the idea of these anyway inside the cabinet. So this thing, 23 gauge pin nailer, has been awesome because this leaves such a small hole that we could pin it in a few locations, put a dab of glue in the hole, and then sand it, and the little you know, sawdust gets jammed into the glue and dries in the hole, and you can barely even notice it. So I think I'm gonna go with that, so we don't have ugly pocket holes inside the cabinets. So this is always the worst part of a cabinet build in my little corner of the basement. It's a little tight in here, so. And that's all I have for clamps, so that's gonna have to sit before I can do the other one. So I can let that dry, and now I have something to measure off of, and we can start making the doors, or at least get some pieces ready. Start getting some of those glued up, possibly. So I know I say this every time I do a woodworking project, but this guy, number 8, Lee Nielsen joiner, that thing is an absolute pleasure to work with. All right, we've got both face frames on, and I've got all the door, I guess you would call it the door, stiles and rails cut, and whatever, routed. Having brain farts today. A little tired, but these are all ready to go. Stiles and rails. Sent them over the router table. These all fit together. I've ripped down the center door panels, but I noticed a few of them after sitting for a couple of days. Some of them have a slight cup. And I got really lucky here, because after I cut and figured out my final door size, I cut these to the width, and they're exactly 12 and a quarter strong. That's a 13-inch planer. Yes! Because otherwise, if it was over 13 inches, I'd be doing it by hand, which is a nightmare, and I hate doing it. So, machine, good. And there they are, nice and flat. I love Love that thing. It saves you so much work. But anyways, you're gonna get a little bit of snipe on the ends of the boards. That's why I cut these to their width, not the length. These are a little long, and hopefully I left enough length that we can cut the majority of this snipe out, and then there's going to be a routed edge. And then if there's any snipe left over, I'm going to throw it on the table, and we're going to take it out with a hand plane first before we send it through the router. But that's what we're going to do now. Alright, so we got the doors out of the clamps all dry. So now I have a bunch of sanding to do. I already ran these through the table saw, got them parallel, then just threw them on the crosscut sled, got them squared, cut down to the size they need to be. And now I've got a ton of sanding, and then we're going to mount the hinges, check them, and then any final planing adjustments we can do. And then obviously wood glue in all the little holes that we can see. Jam a little wood dust in there. Should be nice. The doors are mounted. This is the first. I just fit everything to make sure everything fits. Doors didn't need to be changed, make sure the gaps looked right. You know, we got one coat of poly on these, so everything needs to be disassembled. Anything that needs to be filled, and this all needs another light sanding, and then this will be ready for the final coat. So I think I'm going to do that now. Get everything disassembled, put aside, labeled, and before I do any finish coats on anything, I think I should make the countertop possibly. Alright, so now I just need to figure out how I'm going to cut this hole for the sink. Here's the template. I'll probably trace this on there, and I'm thinking possibly cut out these straight parts with the track saw, and then try to get these corners maybe very carefully with a router. Probably scribe it with a knife. That'll probably work. Sorry, I didn't hear the GoPro died. The batteries don't last very long in these things. But yeah, it's all cut out. And I put the first coat on with a brush, as did I everything else. First coat, brush, then I go and sand it, and then I spray the second coat on. And hopefully it'll look the same as everything else. But I left a 1/4 inch more than I want in the back in case the wall is wavy. I can scribe this in because there's going to be no backsplash. This is just going to be caulked into the wall. And then over here I left a few extra inches, you know, just in case. You know, this side and the back will be cut down on the job site to fit in there perfectly. So otherwise I'm done. Pretty much just gonna come out and give it one more sand and a spray, which I'll do later. But you don't need to see that. And then next weekend, we go install. Oh, another thing I did not mention is I ripped one of these Doug fir boards in half, piece of 3/4, sent it through the planer, and then coated it. So this is gonna be the toe kick, which I will tack on under there. And I may run a piece down the side, just on one side, because I have non-scratching feet that I'm gonna put on so I can slide these around. And I don't know if I'm gonna bother taking them off once I'm there. Probably not. Just put piece down the side, scribe it to the floor. It'll look more professional, I think. All right, it's time to finish this job, finally. Cabinets, I came here, forgot the GoPro. They're not screwed in. I just threw them in place, you know, cut the holes. Got 2 covers to kind of cover this pipe, cover the ugly cuts. And yeah, we're gonna finish this today. Time to go into attack mode, get this thing done. So I'm gonna place you there, and you can watch. So I'm gonna have to start rationing GoPro battery, because I only have 2, and I want to be able to show the end. It's the best part. But I just wanted to show this place is brand new. This whole building is brand new. 3 units, and everywhere in this place, I mean, look, this is all square, and I know that happens in construction. Everything's not perfect, but you can tell this place was rushed. Like, they put some blinds up, and the windows, the casings on the windows were far from plumb. So when they hung blinds, they look like the blinds are sideways. It's actually not the blinds, it's the window casings. So yeah, this place was definitely rushed. The floor's all over the place, the walls are all over the place. And again, I know that happens a little bit in construction, but this place is bad. So I have to just scribed it in. I'm gonna go see if I can cut that off with the track saw. Alright, got the top in. I got it screwed down from underneath. The pipe was a little bit of a nightmare, so I cut the pipe off flush with the top of the cabinet so I could lay the countertop on and then just trace the bottom, bring it outside, flip it upside down, pilot a hole through to the finished side, and then drill from the finished side down. Get a nice clean hole. So I just have to hook up the plumbing, do a little caulking, clean up. We're out of here. Yes. Doug fir. Doug fir. Make sure you subscribe. See you later.